Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa bihi nasta'inu ala umuri dunya wa din. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulih al-amin. Sayyidina wa habibina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahabatihi ajma'in amma ba'd. And welcome back to our program, Calling to Peace with me, Imam Shamsi Ali. In our today's episode, I would like to talk about one of the fundamental part of Islamic teaching, and it is about al-hurriyah, about freedom in al-Islam. Islam considers freedom as a basic right. In fact, it is not only a basic right as many people understand it around us. Freedom for Muslims is a God-given right. It is given directly by the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that every human being has a basic right to freedom. Our fundamental faith, or declaration of faith, is known as La ilaha illallah. And it does simply means that there is no God worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the main idea behind La ilaha illallah means that no one is supposedly to slave anybody in this life but the creator of the life itself. So we cannot be enslaved by anybody, by anything. There is only one who has the right to be enslaved to. We cannot be slave to anybody, but only slave to the one who created us, the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, the concept of La ilaha illallah primarily means, and fundamentally means, that every single human being is free, agent of God. Freedom in Islam comprises of, number one, freedom to believe. So faith in Islam is not something to be imposed. It is not something that you force somebody to believe in something, because faith is something that is coming from within the bottom of your heart, and no third person involved, but the person and his Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we cannot force the faith into anybody. And therefore the Holy Quran says, فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Whoever does want believe, let this be believed. And whoever wants to disbelieve, let him or her disbelieve. There's the freedom to believe or not to believe. Even more stronger, the Holy Quran says, La ikraha fi din. There is no compulsion in the religion. In other words, that as Muslims, we feel that it is obligated upon us to convey the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is obligated upon us to tell everybody about what Islam is all about. But we don't have any authority at all to force anybody to believe in the religion. And therefore, for those who assume or misunderstood that Islam had been spread forcefully by forcing the people to become Muslim, I think they are ignorant of the teaching of Islam. Because in Islam, it is very clear, La ikraha fi din. There is no compulsion in the religion. And this is the strongest way of informing the Muslims, the believers, that you cannot force anybody to become a Muslim. The reason behind this ayah, this verse was revealed, that before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ arrived in Medina, some of the parents forced their children or encourages their children to become either Jewish or Christians, because Jews and Christians in Medina at the time were more relatively educated and more upper class in terms of society. They are upper class society. So some of the Arab people want the children to become either Jewish or Christian. Then later on, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ arrived in Medina, some of those parents wanted to force their children to become Muslims. And because of that, the Quran came down, prohibited them. And it says, La ikraha fi din. There is no compulsion in the religion. So again, in Islam, religious freedom is not something new. Freedom to believe or not to believe is something that everybody should choose. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was highly reminded by the Holy Quran, Lasta alayhim bimusaytir. that you don't have any sort of authority to force anybody to believe. If they reject it, that is their own responsibility. If they accept it, that is their right to accept it. But you cannot force them. You don't have any authority. Lasta alayhim bimusaytir. The next one is freedom of worship. The Holy Quran mentions La a'budu ma ta'budun wa la antum a'abiduna ma a'bud. I worship according to my own faith, and you worship according to your own faith. And you don't have to worship according to mine, and I don't have to worship according to yours. In other words, that worshiping God, the Almighty, is something, a free thing to do. It is not something being imposed on anybody. And therefore, Islam is free to give freedom to anybody to practice their religion. That is their full right to worship the Lord according to their own faith tradition. Now, when it comes to the freedom of religion, once again, Islam is very clearly indicating in the Quran. In the same surah, Surah Al-Kafirun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Lakum dinukum waliyadin. Your religion is yours, and mine is mine. In other words, that choose your own according to your own consciousness. And I choose mine based on my own reason. Because choosing the faith, tradition, or religion is a freedom that's something we have to do, exercise in our life. I'm Muslim not because of even my parents forced me to be Muslim. And you are Christians or Jews or Hindus or Buddhists also because of your choice. So Islam is very open on this. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. Yours is yours and mine is mine. I have freedom to practice and to believe in my faith, and you have freedom to believe and practice your own faith. The next one is political freedom. Freedom to politics. Of course, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died without appointing anybody to replace him as a president or a king of the society at that time. Prophet Muhammad was a messenger, but at the same time, he was a political leader. So when he died, he did not appoint anybody to replace him. And the reason is because Prophet Muhammad wanted to give a freedom to the people to choose their own leader. And I think this is what is called in modern term as democracy. So when you talk about democracy, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had practices from the very beginning of Islam, that he didn't appoint anybody to replace him. He let the people to choose the best from among themselves to be the leader. And that's why the Muslim chose Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to be the first Khalifa. Khalifa means to replace the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his political leadership. So Abu Bakr was elected, Abu Bakr was chosen. In other words, in the language of Islam, the people gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. When you come to the freedom of economy, in Islam, everybody has the right to do businesses. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. Business had been made halal for you. So you can engage in business in order to develop economic opportunity. And every single human being has an opportunity to the economy. There is no manipulation in Islam. You cannot abuse others in order for you to get more benefit. You cannot just win while your benefit is based on the blood of other people around. Islam is offering equal opportunity to everybody to develop themselves economically. When we come to the freedom of life, the most important thing that we need to talk, Islam is protecting the life. لا تقتلوا النفس التي حرم الله عليكم. Do not kill anybody that have been prohibited on you. من قتل نفسا فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا. If anybody kills one soul, kills one person, it could have been just equal to killing all humanity. And therefore, every human being has a freedom to live their life fully. And no one can take the life but the one who created life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But let me end with this. Oftentimes when we come to the issue of freedom, there is a misunderstanding. The people think that freedom has no limit. Everything else in this world has limit. There is only one who has no limit, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His freedom has no limit. His knowledge has no limit. His power has no limit. His decisions has no limit. That's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything else related to us as humans, as creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, must have limit. And therefore, it is very important to understand that our freedom is limited when it is connecting to the right of others. Let me just give you one example. I have freedom of speech. I can talk according to my freedom. But it is simply impossible to go to my neighbors and talk and insult them. Talking as an insult. I cannot go out to the street and insult everybody, and then I call it as freedom. Similarly, you cannot insult people's faith, tradition, the religion of the people. You cannot insult it in the name of freedom. You cannot insult the holy books. Either it is Quran or Bible or Torah. It is simply wrong in our understanding, because this is not freedom. This is irresponsible insult behavior. You cannot insult the Lord Almighty. You cannot insult the Prophet. Either it is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam or Prophet Isa alayhi salatu wasalam or Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. For us, an insult to religious belief is irresponsible act and not freedom. And therefore, freedom must be with responsibility. Therefore, our declaration of faith says, La ilaha. It means we are free. We are free. But illallah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, we are free, but when it comes to the limit, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put limit, hudud, then we must understand that this is something that we are not free anymore to do it. So again, freedom, there is no limit, is a wrong concept. Everything has freedom in our understanding. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the real understanding of freedom, and can we practice freedom based on our belief as Muslim, inshallah ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.